welcome everybody to the Body Love Revolution Online Summit. Today, I am joined by Lorie May. And Lorie May is a mature age model, a cancer survivor. She's also embracing life in her 50s, creating the best version of herself. And a little disclaimer here, Lorie May, or as I refer to her very affectionately as Cousin Lorie, she would have to be one of the most favorite human beings of mine on this planet. And we are very, very fortunate to be, yes, family by DNA, but absolute heart, soul sisters by choice. So I bring to you on the Body Love Revolution Summit, my dear cousin. So welcome, Cousin Lorie. And excuse me, listeners, if I interchange with Lorie May, her professional name, or I refer to her as Cousin Lorie very adoringly. But welcome, my darling cousin. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Emma. It's such a privilege to be here and such an honour. Thank you.
So when I decided to pull together this online summit all about body love and it being a complete revolution, Cousin Lorie and I have had many conversations about this. We are both mothers, but my dear cousin has had quite a journey around, we could probably even say, traditional beauty standards as you started modeling as a teen. So when you did modeling in your teens, was there some life-changing moments? And why did you return to modeling as a woman in her 40s? Because you started back in your modeling in your 40s and you're acting in your 40s, and we've seen you on vitamin ads. We've seen you do lots of modeling in your all different clothing in different brands. So can you share with us your journaling of modeling and even beauty standards and how that has evolved over the years?
Absolutely. So as you know, as a teenager, I dabbled in a little bit of modelling, doing catwalk and some clothing brands, very much freelance. I wasn't with an agent. And I think that was very much to do with lack of confidence at the time. And I kind of left that, went off and went to uni and studied and went down a completely different direction. However, when I got to my 30s and I had my beautiful 2-year-old daughter, I was diagnosed with cancer, as you know, and that was completely life-changing. You've got this wonderful 2-year-old that you're running around with. She's a little toddler, and it's a very busy time. And it really, really knocked me for six, I have to say. It was very unexpected. And one of the things that a lot of people would often say to me is, I can't believe that you've gotten cancer. You know, you're so healthy and you keep active and you eat really well. And what I'd really realised at that time is, why not me? Cancer, everyone knows someone that has had cancer, and it's not something that we get because we're being punished for or we've done something wrong. It was just sort of how my cells had formed. And I had a sarcoma tumour, which is a very rare tumour, but it tends to happen for younger people. I was about 34 at the time, and it was in my left quadricep muscle. And pretty much straight away they had said to me, because a tumour started to form and there was a lot of pain, excruciating pain. And I'd gone to several doctors in emergency, actually. I remember saying to my husband, I feel like I want to cut my leg open. That's the sort of pain level I was at. And at the time, I was sent away several times saying, perhaps you've got a bursitis, maybe you need to see a physio. And it wasn't until a good friend who happens to be a nurse said, look, I think you should come in and get some tests done, that it was diagnosed. And I was told pretty much if I'd left it for a few more days that my leg would have needed to be amputated. So they caught it at a really good time. And then they said, and if that didn't happen, then, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm very fortunate. But 8 weeks of radiation, and so that the tumor would shrink before it would have to be removed. And then a couple of months later, having to have surgery and pretty much needing to learn to walk again. So it was quite a journey when you've got a little person. Why I tell you this is because it was completely life-changing, as you said. And I had a lot of time to reflect about what I wanted to do if cancer didn't get me. And it didn't, which was great. It's 15 years survivorship this year, which is really exciting. And what it made me think was, well, what are the things that I really enjoy doing? And not to, I guess the biggest thought was, don't let life pass you by, and try and do the things that you feel uncomfortable with, because they're the things that make you grow. So I gave it a go. I thought, why not? And I submitted some photos to an agency, and here I am now. It's been very exciting. I've been able to do TV commercials. I've worked for some great clothing brands, and as you said, some vitamin brands. And, I've been a mother, I've been a grandmother, I've been a doctor. It's been really exciting, and particularly for, strangely enough, an introvert like myself, whenever I'm in front of a camera and doing things like that, I really feel the growth, and it's made me very much I guess, accept who I am. And, oddly enough, here I was in my teens, always, I don't know if you remember, Emma, I would always wear dark tights, even in summer, with a skirt. I was really embarrassed about my legs, didn't really like my legs, didn't really like my body. Here I am, ironically now 52, and I will wear some denim shorts, and I'll wear a shorter skirt with this huge scar on my left leg. This left leg that I now love and I'm so appreciative of. And with all the radiation, it actually shrivels your skin up and makes your skin, I guess, less tight. So my left leg looks a lot older than my right leg, and probably a lot of people might go, oh my gosh, why would she even show that off? But the story behind it for me is courage and, just this acceptance of who I am and how lucky I am. So I don't really care about that anymore. I'll wear a short skirt if I want to, and I'll wear my shorts because this leg has a story to tell.
It does. And we can sit here and say what a wonderful story, because you're now 15 years post that pivotal, life-changing event that shaped who you are as a woman. Your family, your choices moving forward. And, I love that saying, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And the way that you didn't react, you responded, and you responded by saying, I'm now going to love this leg. And I have a memory of us going night clubbing. We used to go night clubbing in our heyday. And cousin Lorie's from Melbourne. I'm from the Gold Coast. So she would come and visit me on the Gold Coast. And look, I have always been a rather voluptuous young woman. And cousin Lorie has been the gorgeous model that she is, with the beautiful model body. And I can remember one night us going out, and you put on a little mini skirt. And I was like, oh my goodness, you look divine. Look how foxy you are. And you said to me, oh no, I don't like my legs. And I remember thinking back then, oh my God, and we were in our 20s, our early 20s. And I can remember thinking, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that cousin Lorie doesn't love her legs. And although it's taken a journey of, like you say now, of, a big scar on your leg, and you thinking that, the skin potentially it looks older, and because that's a byproduct, but now you actually loving and accepting your body. And I know for a fact that you've even done modeling shoots with your gorgeous legs shown, and
Yes.
absolutely rocking what you're wearing. So it's so nice to hear that, even though that has been an absolute, traumatic event in your life, that the body acceptance that's come from that is a gift.
Absolute gift. Absolutely. Do you know what's interesting though, Em? You were saying then, you used to say, oh, look at you with your beautiful model body. Isn't that an interesting term? that has now thankfully starting to shift. What is a model body? And I would see, Emma and I would be getting changed. And another wonderful thing that sort of happened after I was diagnosed was I've always loved art, but I really started to engage in my own art practice, and I started painting, and for myself, not for anyone else. I really, really just enjoyed painting and being in the flow of the moment of mixing colors and things. And then with Emma, your beautiful help, she started to say, you need to get your artwork out there. So all these sort of things started to shift. But I remember, Emma and I would be changing, and I'd say to you, oh, when are you going to let me draw you? You just would I would just love to do a life drawing of you. And I still hold you to that. But it is interesting how we have this perception of ourselves. And sometimes it's not always a great perception, is it?
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing. Our deception is so distorted.
Absolutely.
We don't see what other people see.
No.
And we are so hard on ourselves. And that is, I'm glad you picked me up on that. Isn't that interesting how I said your model body and you saying what is a model body? And I really trust and pray that our daughters will not say that, because a model body will be all different shapes and sizes that they see forward.
Absolutely. Well, what is it? The Australian Bureau of Statistics recently said the average size woman is a size 16 to 18. Crazy, yeah, but yet, we've still got a long way to go, but it is changing, but yet they're showing women on catwalks that are 5 sizes smaller than that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the beautiful agency I'm with, Bella Management, show a diverse range of models, and they all rock their bodies. They look fantastic. We all, a lot of women like fashion, and we need to address that.
The agency you're with, actually, I love their Instagram. How powerful is the visuals of all different, they have such a diverse range. I love their Instagram page for that.
Would, yes. And you wouldn't say, oh, there's one particular model body, would you?
No.
No.
I would say there is a beautiful display of every body.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk about, because I know that it was such a little journey and such a decision about you growing out your coloured hair and becoming grey, despite the culture which tells women keep covering up your grey hairs. Was this an easy decision? How has it impacted you personally and professionally? I want to talk about this grey hair. We've had lots of conversations, but it is, a lot of women go through this, and some choose to and choose not. I'd love to hear what the decision making, how this has impacted you personally and professionally.
I am giggling a little bit because you did hear me for many years trying to, decide about this. And there was just this angst of, oh my gosh, I'm going to look old. Do you think I'll look old, cousin Emma? Do you think I'll look old? So it wasn't an easy decision. I'd be lying if I said, oh yes, I just decided overnight that it was time to embrace the grey. But what I did start to realize is if I'm spending every 3 weeks going to a salon to cover up, like, I was very, very grey at the front here. If I was starting every 3 weeks having to spend several hours, got to the point that then I would buy my dye from a health food shop. I would go to a salon and get them to put it in. And when they put the Glad wrap over your head, I would then pay and then leave. And they'd say, what are you doing? I'd say, I'm too busy. It's my day off. And I would drive home with Glad wrap on my head so I could go and do all the other chores I had to do at home or things like that. And then I started to think, wow, like, is this actually worth it? How important is my time? And also I was a bit curious to see what Mother Nature had in store for me. And also I was stalking quite a few women on Instagram who had made the change. And I really liked it. And still now people often say to me, oh, but I don't think mine would look like yours. Well, you don't really know until you do it. And it's this myth that we sort of associate grey hair with old, but yet I've spoken to people that said they were going grey in their 20s. You would know this with your previous life being a hairdresser.
Yes.
Yes. And I thought, wow, that's a really long time to be coloring your hair. I, as I said, very personal decision for me. I know it's not for everyone, but it was so right for me. Time wise, health wise, I was a little concerned about, coloring and what that was doing. And yeah, just the freedom it's given me, to be honest, try not having to think about, oh, there's a wedding coming up, or there's a party coming up, and oh, I've got to, make sure I get to the hairdresser before that so that it's, God forbid, covering up my grey. But I also think, aging's very much a mindset.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't feel like it's changed me in a way that I now have to think old or dress old, whatever that is. Um, I still like putting on my lippy, and I love clothes, and it hasn't really changed that. But as far as professionally, um, amazing. Like, I've had so much more work as a grey-haired woman than I ever did as a blonde. And even at the amount of people that will stop me in the street, often from women, who
Mm.
will say, "Oh, I love your hair." Um, and often they'll say, "Oh, but you're so brave. Oh, it must have taken so much courage." That one always concerns me a little bit, because I think, why should it be bravery to accept who I am? Why is it a courageous thing just to go with the flow and accept who I am? I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, again, it's really pushing through societal norms. That
Yes.
is courageous. I know, like, that is actually courageous. When you actually push back from societal norms, which is, if you want to be youthful and look youthful, do
Yes.
not dare show a gray hair.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and so it really, that's what that courage thing is. But listeners, I want to paint the picture of cousin Lorie too. I want you to visualize the most funkiest dresser who
Oh,
has that eye that can pull together an outfit like no other. You have that gift and that expression. That's why women pull you up on the street. I've been with you. There's not a time that I've not been with you that someone hasn't complimented something about your outfit or the way you pull together thing. You've got that artistic, that art, that eye, and you do ooze this vibrancy. But that also is a reflection because you are absolutely comfortable with having gray hair and the decision you made. You absolutely are embodying it. There
oh,
is
that's so
no,
kind. Yeah.
yeah, it's not from a place of, oh well, I'm just, because now I'm in my 50s, I'm just going to go grey and I'm not going to color. It's actually a conscious, I guess, expression of who you are now. And I love that.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. But it's interesting you say that there is this idea that if women choose to not dye their hair, or women choose not to wear makeup, or that we've just let ourselves go,
Yeah.
um, which is a horrible term, really, isn't it? How many men do you hear? How many people talking about men? Oh, he's gone grey. He's let himself go.
Yes.
There's still that, men are allowed to age, and we consider them quite sexy and beautiful when they've got their little grey whiskers. So I guess there is a little bit of a rebellious side to me as well. I mean, when I was younger, I was the person shaving my hair or dyeing it purple or green or whatever it was. So maybe there's that little bit of a rebellious side to me going, you know what? I can choose to be me and do whatever I like, maybe that's still there a little bit.
And you are really showing that there is no part of you that has let anything go. It's
Mm.
just another version of you being fully expressed.
It is another version, absolutely. And perhaps we all go through many versions, don't we?
Yeah, so empowering. Now, I want to talk about now how you address body issues as a mature aged model, often working alongside younger people. And how do you release any self doubt? Because that's real. We are aging. We often look at youth and go, "Oh, youth is beautiful," but so is gray hair and a woman who is wise. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, do you know, the first thing I think about when you say that, Emma, is wasn't so long ago that I called you and I said, Emma, we do this often, don't we? I go, oh,
Yeah.
something happened today that I want to unpack with you. I was in I love recycled clothing stores. It was a recycled clothing store, and they're having, it was in a big garage, and there was just women everywhere looking for a bargain and looking for something different. And there was a open change room rather than your little sectioned change rooms with your curtain. And I was one of the first ones in there with all my goodies to try on. And a woman said to me, I'm sorry. And she apologized. She said, I'm really sorry, but we only have this big open change room. We do, I could probably find a spot for you if you like, where you can be more discreet. And I just sort of looked at her and said, no, I'm quite fine to get changed here. And she kept apologizing. She's saying, are you sure? Are you sure you're okay? And here I was in my undies getting changed. And what I noticed, there was probably another 20 women that came in after me, all younger than me, ranging from about 18 to 40. Every one of them hesitated and said, oh, I'd prefer to get changed in the single change room if that's okay. And before you know it, there was this long queue of women all waiting, despite having this huge room where they could be getting changed. And I felt really sad. As we say, when you're younger, you're absolutely in the prime of your life. You're probably at your strongest, your healthiest. All these women that I guess felt uncomfortable and in their own skin and weren't comfortable to get changed in front of other women. And then I thought, what are we doing? What are we not saying, or what are we not celebrating with each other when we don't feel comfortable to get changed in front of another? But yet in men's changing room, they walk around naked and shower and it's no big deal. But there's this sense of we've got to hide ourselves.
Yeah.
And I hope that changes. I really hope that changes. But as far as getting modeling with other young women, it's actually very empowering. And I guess it comes back to that mindset of, I think it's important that older women and women of different shapes and sizes are visible. And in my job, I am very visible. And I hope that companies start to realize that the more we see different shapes and sizes, different ethnicities, all these things are really important. And I think as consumers, we need to change our mindset as well and support companies that are showing diversity and buy from companies, because the more we see that, the more self-acceptance I think will come.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I just want to touch on, you telling me that story about the change room and us reflecting. And you have, although you are introverted, and yes, we know that you have, in your early years didn't love your legs, but you really have always supported and empowered me. And back to there's, cousin Lorie is very free. I remember being in our 20s and I am still in a size 14 to 16 body. And cousin Lorie,
what a beautiful body it is.
thank you, my darling. And cousin Lorie, I remember us. So cousin Lorie is not immune to this communal business. We're in Byron Bay and we were staying at a hostel, and cousin Lorie says it was a shared bathroom, shared showers, and we go in and there's other backpackers there, and obviously in other cultures too, they're quite comfortable with showering. Like it was just showers on a wall, no cubicles. And I looked at you and you've gone, well, come on, have a shower. And I said, really, like with all these people? And you go, oh, for goodness sake, come on. And there was these two other girls in there showering. And so empowering. Back in my 20s, stripped off, we both have a shower together. Well, not together. We've got our own shower, but there was no cubicles.
Yeah.
And that was incredibly empowering because, yes, we're all bodies.
We are all bodies. We are just a shell, really.
Yeah.
We are just a shell, and our shells are different.
Yeah.
Inside. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's just what we want is for our bodies to be strong and vital, and that they can give birth if we choose to give birth. We want our bodies to work well for us, to be vital, to be able to lift things, be able to do our jobs, to feel well. That's what we want from our bodies.
To do a good downward dog in yoga class.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My cousin Lorie is amazing at headstands, a good headstand.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. But you really cured me, or cured me. You've always been incredibly supportive of what I did was reject my body for many years. And I think about that story about women in the change room in those early years. And that's my number one regret, that it's taken me to this age to actually fully embody. And I love the word embody is my word for 2024.
That's a great word.
The first bit of Emma,
M.
embody,
Yes.
embody.
Fabulous.
I'm such a slow learner. I go finally now.
But
Yeah.
can you imagine? So, here, let's say the average girl in this room was 20.
Mm.
How many years must we hide ourselves? So we're doing that. And I was doing that, as a 15-year-old, hiding my body. I could spend my entire life rejecting my own body. Same with you, diet culture, all of this, despite, you might say, oh, a size 8, 10. Everyone has their little thing that they're not happy with.
Yeah.
But are we going to spend our entire lives hiding ourselves because we think that we're not enough? Like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting even thinking about it.
Exhausting, and how much energy it robs. And thinking of you and your creativity, channeling that energy into creativity. And if creativity isn't your thing, but channeling that into something you absolutely love and enjoy, instead of staying in this loop cycle that we're just not enough because we are, and just that freedom. But it is a process. And I say, we can't quite go from self-loathing to self-love, but there's a little step in the middle, which is self-respect.
Yes, I love that.
And if we can get that, and I want to allude to your own self-respect and how you've looked after yourself since your cancer diagnosis. Any changes in your nutrition, your exercise, your lifestyle, your self-love, your wellness. So how have you shifted from that non-acceptance of self to the part of you now that has really embraced and embodied who you are, and particularly after pivotal moment, cancer? So what's
Absolutely.
happened for you since then?
Look, I have to say, that I think, as you know, I've always loved food. I've always been a bit of a foodie. I was vegetarian as a teenager, and it's evolved very much into plant-based whole foods. And I love cooking. When I go and stay with you, I know it's very much my love language, I think, cooking for others. But very much, I guess wellness for me is not about how I look. It's not an aesthetic thing. Wellness for me is very much about how I feel. And I feel better when I take the time to nourish my body. And that might be through lots of fruit, vegetables, beans, nuts, lentils, whole grains, those sort of things, but also taking time to do my yoga practice, taking time to make sure that I get to bed at a reasonable time. I'm very much interested in that, dimming the lights when it starts to get dark, going to bed early, listening to my body, knowing that if I'm yawning, I should have been in bed an hour ago, getting up early, waking up with the sunrise, going to bed early, going on walks, and making it part of my walking's not just, I always make sure I'm walking with a friend so we can catch up rather than going to a cafe, sitting down. I've got a few girlfriends that we walk regularly with, and that's a really enjoyable thing to do. We call it our therapy. But yeah, very much listening to my body. And as I said, making sure that I guess I have this balance where I'm not doing too much of one thing, not doing too little of another. But yes, yoga, early sleeping, not overdoing things, a beautiful bath, that ritual side of things. But food is a biggie for me.
Yeah, I know it is. You are.
Yeah, and I know that if I'm if I'm not eating, if I eat too much sugar or processed food, I don't feel well. Like it really affects my gut and therefore affects my mood.
Yes. And you are so in tune. And what I heard there, I love your view on wellness, which it's not just one thing. So it was, what I heard too was connection, like connection with friends and of course family, where family, that connection is another really big part of wellness. Yes, food, movement, sleep, but that connection. And like you say, a walk is your therapy. It
Yeah.
really is. And you are incredibly well-rounded.
Yeah.
And I have loved, growing up with you, because you have absolutely, it's not that you speak this, you live this. And this is such a beautiful thing to witness and be in your company, that I've had the privilege of 47 years to be in your energy and what you bring to the world with your beautifulness. Everything is, I think that you absolutely embody the way of a beautiful life, which is everything is beautiful around you, whether it be the way you dress yourself, the way you style yourself, the food you present, the way you move through the world is
Oh,
just beauty.
don't. I'll get it. Oh, no. I was hoping we wouldn't go down this track.
And that is just, to walk the path with you and to share DNA, but absolutely adore you is just been, yeah, it's such a gift. And even last week, because cousin Lorie is vegetarian, or you're close to vegan now,
Well, I would
in a
say
lot of
more vegan. I
ways.
don't like the term vegan. I just sort of
Yeah.
say plant-based, but yes.
Plant-based, yeah. And last week, what did I had beautiful Harvest Queen with Yogi Louie, her celebration. I had to take a vegetarian meal. So as I do, ring cousin Lorie, what am I going to make out of it? And she talks me through the whole thing and what vegetables to use and how to do it. And look, I have done that so many times over the years, because you were just a wealth of knowledge. And even on your beautiful Instagram page, the visual of your whole foods, which we will share in the notes for people to follow your beautiful page with all of your gorgeous
Oh, yes, just
visuals.
my meals. I started, a couple of people always said to me, oh, how do you make that? And so I started just taking photos, and I guess it's just a diary documenting what I eat, really. But it's not, and it's certainly, I have to say, it's nothing to do with a diet.
No,
It's just, as I said, a bit of a lifestyle where I just feel better for it.
it's a feeling. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
We are driven by feelings, and you are so in tune with yourself that you know how you feel. You know what works for you, which I
And
just love.
you know what's funny, Emma, as well, when we're saying things that we do for ourselves, as you know, once again, introvert, the older I've gotten, the more I realize it's okay to say no to things as well. I know that if I've been with people too much, or I've gone out too much, that one of the best things I can do for me is to be on my own and retreat a little bit and have some quiet, and that re-energizes me, which was always interesting for you and I, wasn't it? Because
The
because
extrovert.
the extrovert, so many a time, I would have to say to Emma after staying with her for a week, I need to have a little afternoon nap, or I need to have a little afternoon beach walk or something, just so she knew that I was ready to go out again at night. I'd have my
Yeah.
retreat, and then I'd be ready for some Emma time again.
Yeah, I had to give
Just
cousin Laurie some
100,
breaks.
you did, just because you're 100% go, go, go
I
personality,
am.
which I
I
love.
Now, I do want to end with the final question. I know this is really deep for both you and I, because we have both given birth to daughters who we adore, and we adore each other's daughters. And again, so blessed to have our beautiful extended family. But we talk about this and the legacy that we want to leave to our daughters. Cousin Laurie, tell me, what is the legacy you want to leave to your daughter? What wisdom could you share with younger women about body acceptance and living a full life?
Mm. I honestly, there are so many things you could unpack here, but I the first thing that comes to mind is I think the world needs more strong, courageous women. We need women who build each other up, that don't judge one another, that tell each other like we do, that to go out there and get it. Go out there and be your absolute self. And if that's something that you love, then you follow that dream and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. That's one of my biggies. And I know you're exactly the same. We always say, there's what's your saying? Um, there's plenty more of that. Or you always say to me,
Yeah, there's more of that where that came from.
yeah, there's more where that came from. If you think, oh, that's been taken by someone else. No, there's more of that. There's more of that universe. I want, I also want, as you do, I would love to see girls just be comfortable in their own skin. Do not waste the years and years and years of self-loathing, of not accepting their own bodies, of not accepting that they're not enough, that you are enough. You are always enough.
And be fully expressed. Yeah, it's okay to be fully expressed.
Yes. And in the sense that if you are a huge personality, that you are enough. If you're a quieter personality, that you are enough just the way you are, and that you don't have to change to fit into what you think other people are going to like, or what other people are going to support. You have to be yourself. It's just so much time wasted on trying to please other people. You know, yeah. So in a way, my cancer diagnosis was a blessing in the end for me, because it meant that I wasn't going to stay small.
Yeah. And you just do it, you do life your way, which I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes. And we want other women to do the same, don't we?
Yeah.
Just as they are. What do you always say to me? You do you, I'll do me. It's great.
Yeah. And I the biggest message for me today, listening to you, and of course we have rapport and we love each other and we spend a lot of time talking, that, if anyone's thinking about going grey, give it a go. You don't know until you've done it.
Yes,
If you have had a desire to model, do it. Like,
absolutely.
go find an agency, whether it's, cousin Lorie's agency or another one. Do it. If there's something in your heart that you have wanted to do, go for it.
Yes.
It's,
And you know what what is the worst that can happen? What's the
someone
worst that can?
well, someone says no, so you just try someone else. Do you know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Because, and that's the other thing too, there are going to be no's in your life. People are
Yeah,
going to say no to you. But I often say too, no is sometimes a maybe. Go to someone else. Go elsewhere. Like, we can't let one thing stop us.
absolutely. And also we have to remember that's just one person's opinion of us. And what do
Yes.
they say? Other people's opinion of us really doesn't matter. It's none of our business.
No. And two, we could have 100 people lined up and you could stand in front of them. 50 are going to love you, 50 aren't.
Yeah.
We just focus on the 50 that love us.
Yes. Surround yourself by people that build you up.
Yeah. That
Yes.
love and adore you, because they're
Yes.
your people.
They're your people. They're your tribe. You're my tribe.
Yeah. So, my darling cousin Lorie, my most beautiful, favorite human being on the planet that I just love spending time with and chatting. Thank you for joining me, because I know, as the introvert and a very private person, I know that this took a lot of courage for you to share your story and who you are, but it is so powerful. And I know many people are going to resonate or get something out of this. And our work is done. If we just share, our work is done.
Yes.
So thank you, my darling.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity and telling me, as we say, we're all works in progress. And I was a little hesitant. So I really appreciate um, you building me up and allowing me to have this time. So love you.
Love you, cousin Lorie. Thank you.
Thank you.